Hello, everybody. Boom, boom, ba-dum. Hello, everybody. Boom, boom, ba-dum. Okay. So please excuse the weird music. All right. Holla 300. How you doing tonight? Or today? I don't know. It's late wherever I am. So I'm trying to do something new with adding a little bit of music to it too. And so I hope it's not too much. Oh, hey, Wes. Thanks for watching, man. How are you guys? So, tonight's drawing is going to be a couple of different things. First is my warm-up piece, which will be the creature from the Black Lagoon. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust the camera. Also trying out music, kind of make it not so boring. Is the music too loud? So what I've been doing is going ahead and laying out my warm-ups. That way, here's some commissions I've got. So tonight we're going to be drawing my warm-up, which is the creature from Black Lagoon. And then I also I have a critters commission sketch to do, a Baxter Stockman sketch to do, and then a David Tennant Doctor Who. So I think I've got another like 4 or 5 to do after that. But we'll see where we get tonight. So tonight we start with Creature from the Black Lagoon. Try to stay awake. It's been a crazy week, so I haven't really gotten to Twitch much. Oh my pins. Damn, I don't see. What is this? It's too thin. Alright, no, that's good. Alright, cool, thanks. I was worried it was too big. It was too loud or something. I'm still trying to find some decent music to play that's legal or like not copyrighted. So I got these cool pins at the dollar store. I just wanted to share with everyone real quick. And I've been using them to draw my comics lately, and so I've become obsessed with them because when I ink wash over them, they don't bleed. So as you can see, I kind of went a little bit overboard, but I had to buy them. But they're cool. They do the trick. So let's get started. Alright, Creature from the Black Lagoon. A lot of this is going off memory. Yeah, I got my scribbles, but that's all they are, just freaking scribbles. me look up some creature from Black Lagoon reference real quick. So I kind of have an idea of what I'm drawing. Oh wait. Any new Halloween art coming, you know, because of that new movie. I haven't had anything planned, but it doesn't mean I won't. You know, I probably need to, since I've been wanting to do some new Halloween, or not Halloween, but horror prints at least. And that would be perfect, since they are making that. It does look pretty good, though. I'm excited to see what they do with it. Sorry, I gotta... Okay. Got these weird grooves. This is honestly the first time I've gotten to draw all week. It's been pretty crazy. Just had so many appointments and errands to run this week that it's just made it not possible to draw. So getting to do this, and this being my warm-up, is kind of like my getting the rust off of me, because I haven't drawn jack shit all week. Did a little bit of writing. I'm writing a new Halloween novel. It's pretty fun. I'm excited about. Been making this, rereading the old, like, scary stories and stuff that I grew up with, you know? And then, of course, Goosebumps. Been really on this big, huge Goosebumps kick lately. So, God, this shit's annoying. I can't find anything that's not like this weird ADD electronic bullshit to put in the background. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, so I've been writing this novel. It's supposed to be more like a teen kind of kids novel kind of thing. Very heavily influenced by Goosebumps. I was hoping to have it out by Halloween, but it just keeps creeping up on me so fast that I don't think it's gonna happen. Plus, I gotta finish my graphic novel for Caliber Comics to publish, and so that's been kind of the most important thing to do lately. Alright, so he's got these weird fish lips because he's per fish. But to go back on what you were saying, Yeah, I would love to do a new Halloween print. Some Michael Myers. Been meaning to do some new ones. Just finding the time to do all this stuff. Like, I love drawing comics, and I'm glad I'm back into drawing comics again, but boy, you kind of forget how time-consuming comics are. Like, there is no time to do anything else when you're making comics. And the hard part is the comics aren't paying the bills yet, so it's a lot of free work in hopes that it goes somewhere, but it is. Like I said, I've got Caliber Comics, who, if you're not familiar with, are huge in the 80s and 90s, like independent publishers. I mean, they were like the top notch. They did Dead World, which was like The Walking Dead before Walking Dead even existed. Walking Dead actually took a lot of its references from Dead World. A lot of people don't know that. That's pretty cool. I mean, the original Crow was published through them. Brian Michael Bendis got his start through Caliber. David Mack published Kabuki. Paul Pope's been there. Philippe Xavier. Joe Pruitt, who is like the guy that runs Aftershock Comics. Anyone who's anyone in the comic industry has probably walked through Caliber first. So that's pretty cool. It's cool to be a part of that, have that published through them. I've been on a horror kick lately. Also come to Days of the Dead Charlotte next year. Yeah, I saw that they had Days of the Dead Charlotte, and I think I was at a other convention. I forgot when it went on, but I heard good things about it. I'm gonna try to at least go to the Atlanta one again. It's been a couple years since I've done any horror shows, and I think maybe it might be time to try to do those again, kind of expand out. The comic shows are just becoming too much. They're just, I don't know. Becoming overpopulated with nonsense. Could probably make a little bit at horror conventions, so we'll see. I mean, I've got a couple of ideas in mind for next year. Especially if I can get this novel done. As cheesy as it is, I think it would probably do pretty well at the conventions. Plus, my Hello Fat Crow kids book, I think that'll do pretty well with the horror fans at horror conventions. Still a hard sell at comic conventions, but you never know. Okay. He's got that weird gill thing. Goes like this. Mar. Mar. Okay. Yeah, I did this graphic novel well, not graphic novel, I guess it was like a 3-issue mini comic series called Hyven, which is like about some vampires and stuff. And I did that probably like 15 years ago, but I'm trying to see if Caliber would be interested in that book too. And I'm kind of in talks with them with it. It's like early talks, but they may be publishing that too. Just got to get AI Wars first. Oh, Mr. Creature, why are you my favorite? Okay. Got some gills here, some scales. His weird fish face. Blah, 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 blah. What kind of horror stuff are you on a kick on right now, Wes? I know you said obviously Halloween. Is there anything else? I haven't really gotten a chance to see any horror movies lately. I don't think, has there anything been out other than like I think The Purge beginning, which I heard was pretty good, but you know, I think it got drowned out in the box office. Okay, so a little bit of art going on here. For those just watching, welcome. This is my warm-up drawing, which is Mr. Creature from Black Lagoon, my all-time favorite Universal monster character. I start with an outline. I pencil it first, obviously. I do really rough pencils. As you can see, the next one, the critters, like that's as detailed as I'm gonna get, because I'm just gonna ink it. So why am I gonna worry about it? Once we do that, then I take my new pen Obsession, which is just a regular gel pen 0.5. I use that to kind of create my outline, which is what I call my like the frame of my house. So I kind of treat each piece like it's like a house, as weird as that is to say. And then I do my outline, which is my framing, and then I go in and add my details then. Let's see, been collecting Halloween, Child's Play, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street autographs lately. I want to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the prequel that was released not long ago. Yeah, I think that's on demand on Comcast. At least we have Comcast. I haven't watched it. I think, is that the one where like the girl finds out she was adopted or something, and she goes looking for her adopted family and find out that she's part of, or is that the beginning? Is that the same movie? I don't know. It might be the one before the new one that came out. So another art statement, so to speak, is I like to think of the piece in terms of where the lighting's coming from. So a lot of the time, I do a lot of heavy overlay, as if the lighting's coming down. So that way, I just it gives the piece a little more of a kind of scary, menacing look, especially for like a monster piece. I think it helps it a lot. Met Robert Englund at Mad Monster a couple of months ago, so that was cool. Yeah, I've not yet to meet Mr. Englund, but man, is he pretty cool. I've watched a couple of, interviews, and one year when I was at Dragon Con, he was there way back before before I started setting up at the show. I went and saw a panel on him, and it was pretty cool. He seems like he's got a lot of cool stories to tell. And he seems like a very nice man. You ever seen, wait, you said, yeah, they got the beginning, but they made Leatherface that came out. Oh, okay. I don't know what it is about Leatherface, but, personally, he's just my least favorite of them all. I don't know why. I mean, I've seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was, it was alright. It wasn't that bad. I like the second one a lot more. I guess because it's a little cheesier. And then I saw I think it's the third one. What's the third one? Yeah. I saw the third one too, where he's like wearing that weird like women's makeup kind of shit. And then I've seen the Regeneration with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. That one is that one's laughable too, but and of course the Jessica Biel one, which was awesome. That was a good one, but I haven't seen any of the other ones. I wouldn't mind seeing them. I've just never like really been gung ho about it. Did you ever see Robert Englund made this movie called 976 Evil? He actually directed it and everything. It was really good. It's like this weird like telephone hotline that people could call into, and it turned out to be like it possesses them and possesses this kid, and he pretty much goes on this killing spree. It's got the kid is evil, which ironically it's evil from Fright Night, the original Fright Night movie. It's really cool. I think that's the first movie Robert Englund directed. He actually did a really good job with it. The creature's just so serious all the time. He's got so many wrinkles. He's a wrinkly man. Been in the water for so long. Prunes up. Oh, but that sounds awesome. Robert was nice when I met him. I'll have to show you the sketch of Freddy he did. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I think, to me, I think it's cool if like I'm not a really big into like getting signatures and stuff. But if I was, I think I would do that where like I'd get a signature from, you know, the actor or whatever, and then ask them to just doodle something. I think that would make it a little more unique. Is that something you asked him to do, or did he just was like, hey, I'm bored, I'm gonna draw you a Freddy real quick? Yeah, DM me that. I'd love to see that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, check it out. I want to say, God, I mean, for a while it was on demand on Comcast, but I don't know if you have Comcast or not. So another thing I like to do is this paper has like almost like a faint like wax to it, or gloss, and it's just regular Strathmore Bristol smooth surface 9x12, and it tends to sometimes smear. For the longest time I hated that because like I'll be drawing and I'm trying to do it so well and not mess it up, and then instead of working, I've learned to have to work from left to right sometimes, and if I forget, you'll see these little marks where they smear. But lately I've been trying to take that and actually incorporate it into the piece. So for instance, this line here, I can just smear it a little bit, and it kind of gives it this cool, almost like dry brush effect, like it's supposed to work that way, you know. Sometimes it's a little too much, sometimes it doesn't work at all, but lately I've been playing with it enough to where it's a little more controllable. It's a fun little tip / trick. Dun dun dun. Creature from Black Lagoon, especially here on this. See, I'm going in creating depth in the underlayering of the gills, so I'm not having to do every panel, but I get a couple of them. Yeah, I went through hell to get to meet him. Long story, but one of my favorites is Freddy vs. Jason, so it was just them two to sign the poster. I know he did the sketch before, so I was like, heck it, I'll ask it. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you never know until you ask, right? Yeah. You want to talk about one of my favorite movies? My favorite. All right, I'm a huge Freddy fan, first of all. I like Voorhees. I've grown to like Voorhees, but Freddy's always been my favorite. He was always the one that freaked me out the most when I was younger. I always thought he was gonna like walk up my driveway. Like I never knew really that he haunted you in your dreams. I think if I knew that growing up, I probably would have been damaged a lot more thinking about him. But I just remember seeing him when my dad would be like flipping through channels and it'd come on TV and I'd be like, turn it. So Freddy's always like been that one where I always thought that he was going to be walking up my driveway coming to kill me as a little kid. But he's always held like a special place in my heart, as weird as that is. And one of my favorite movies I got to see in theaters, I was really excited when Freddy vs. Jason came out. And I went and saw that in theaters, and I loved that movie. I love that movie a lot. It's one of my favorite. I love the way Freddy looks in it. I like the premise of it. I thought they did a great job with it. Ang Lee, I think, wasn't it Ang Lee? Am I getting that wrong? Whoever directed it, he did a killer job. I thought he did an awesome job with it. I thought Jason looked cool. I thought, especially when at the end when Freddy had that real evil look to him, where he was very demented looking, demonic. I was like, yes, like they get it. Like they get the love, they get the character, and it was really cool. They did a great job with it. You know, they were supposed to do, well, there was talks for, I think, several different films. Like, since that one was popular and did well, they talked about, what was it? Michael Myers versus Freddy versus Jason. And then I think one point there was even rumors of Pinhead from Hellraiser, which I love. I love Pinhead. I'm a big fan of the Hellraiser movies, at least the first 4. The other ones they're okay. I don't really like go out of my way to look for them or watch them, but if they're on, I might watch it. But the main one, of course, was Ash from Evil Dead. And that one really was supposed to happen. Like, they had the script treatment, Sam Raimi was on board, Bruce Campbell was on board, and I don't know exactly what happened, but it totally fell through. And that sucked. But I think the cool thing that came out of it was they at least took the script and made a comic format of it. I don't know if you've seen that. And they made 2 series of Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. And so the comic series was really cool because I don't know if you seen all the Jason Voorhees movies, but in my favorite one is Jason Goes to Hell. And in that one, they pay tribute to Evil Dead because of when he's in the house, the Voorhees house, there's the Necronomicon sitting on the table with the knife from the Evil Dead movies. And that's a total geek out moment there. And then, of course, at the end, or I don't know if you've seen it, but at the end, when they drag Jason, these demons drag Jason to hell, all that's left is his mask, and then you see Freddy's glove come up. And that movie came out in like 93, 94. So them making the Freddy vs. Jason movie, that was in production hell for like 10 years almost. But I was I remember being really excited when Freddy vs. Jason came out. But yeah, so the Necronomicon since that was in the Voorhees movie, they were really trying to push the Ash versus versus Jason versus Freddy. And the comic's really cool because somehow, it's been years since I've read it, but Jason's still around, of course, because he won the end of Freddy vs. Jason. And he manages to kill the kids from the movie. They go on like some kind of ski trip in the comic, and he shows up and kills them, which I thought was kind of strange, but he shows up and kills them, and you find out that Freddy somehow resurrects himself through the Necronomicon. And when he gets his hands on the Necronomicon, he then like goes full blown like demonic demon, like he looked in Freddy vs. Jason. And then he starts resurrecting this giant army of the dead to take over the world. It was really good, and it was very, very well drawn. Okay. I've never seen Pinhead, but I do love some Jason vs. Freddy. Yeah, if you get a chance, so Hellraiser is one of those weird movies where I don't even know how to describe them, but out of all my love for horror movies, the first Hellraiser scared the shit out of me. Still scares the shit out of me. It's just the makeup, and it's a great movie. Clive Barker, obviously, and I don't know if you've seen any of Clive Barker's work, but if you want some good horror movies that'll like freak you out, Hellraiser 1, 2's okay, 3's okay, 4's my favorite. It's called Bloodline because it kind of explains that, where the puzzle box comes from, but Hellraiser's really good. Clive Barker also did Candyman. The first Candyman's really good if you want to look for that. He also did one of my favorites, Nightbreed. If you haven't seen Nightbreed, check that movie out. It's so weird and good. It's got David Cronenberg, who directed the Fly movie and Scanners and Videodrome. He's done a ton of shit. Ton of horror movies. He's in that movie as like the serial killer. He's pretty awesome. But Clive Barker directed it. It was really good. Okay. Let's get some shading around his eyes there. I feel like it's just too white right here. And I'm going to ink wash this, so a lot of that's going to be pushed out, but I feel like I should at least do something. Okay. we go. I'm going to smear that around. Get a little bit of effect. I don't do a lot of inking in the whole part because, you know, there's different layers of darkness. There we go. I feel that that's a little bit better. Now I take my ink wash, which is just Black India ink, and a little bit of water. Obviously, the less water you use, the thicker the ink, the darker the ink wash will be. But so it's all about preference, really. So when I'm doing this, what I want to do is I want to think about that light source again. So again, that light source is coming down, and since I went ahead and I added a lot of, you know, tone right here, a lot of this will have just slight hints of light coming in. Since this is a very big, like almost like cranial skull poking out, a lot of everything underneath that is going to be kind of shadowed because of it coming down. But again, I'm just doing enough to give glimpses. Same with his gills. I don't want to go full crazy on them. Yeah, if you get a chance to find those comics, they're pretty cool. I haven't seen them in years myself, but yeah, the art was killer on it. No pun intended. Oh. You guys have been at Disney World lately, right, Wes? Or not recently, but a couple months ago. I feel like I think you guys posted, you and Jennifer. Didn't know if you guys got to go to the that new Toy Story World yet. We want to take Liam so bad. Just got to come up with the money first, you know. Because we want to go, right? Damn, 5 times. Lucky. That's awesome, man. That's cool. Meet us down there next year. If we get our passes back, we can get hotel rooms for 20% off on property. Woo! That's very tempting, my friend. Yeah, we wanted to take Liam because he's obsessed with Toy Story, and you know, he's recently got into The Incredibles. We put on the first movie, and he's really digging that. Plus, it's kind of brought back that love. Like, I've always loved Toy Story and all that stuff, but you know, it wasn't something I sought out, you know, until like showing him, and then just his obsession. He's just grown to obsess over it. Just cool. It's cool because he's like Woody, and he's got a little Woody doll, and he's got all that shit. All right. So, there we go. Okay, so here is the finished creature piece. Warm up. Dun, dun, dun. I think it came out pretty cool. Of course, my favorite guy. Not big into Avatar, but that land in Animal Kingdom is awesome. Toy Story is pretty lame, but I am sure for kids they will love it. Speaking of Disney, Jennifer wants you to do a ton of Disney art. I've got, oh yeah, Liam's obsessed with Monsters, Inc. Anything monsters, the kid goes crazy. He's, we just showed him Hotel Transylvania, so he's really big on those two movies right now. But yeah, I did obviously the Toy Story one, which, you know, is crazy. You would think that people would go apeshit over it, but I've been to so many shows, and I mean, I saw it okay, but most people, like, they see it, and if they're with people, most of the time they'll be like, oh my god, that's awesome. But it's almost like an embarrassing kind of awesome. Like, they're embarrassed to admit that they like it for some reason. I don't know why. I'm like, it's freaking Toy Story. Why are you not more excited? But I mean, every once in a while you do get the ones that do actually show their excitement. But you just, I don't know. It's just like, come on, man. I drew it. Like, I'm not gonna judge you. I think Toy Story is awesome. And for some reason, they're just being. I think they're just afraid to be made fun of or something. Like it's a whole setup. Like I have this setup where like, joke's on you, loser. You like Toy Story? Like I don't know. But yeah, I've got a Monsters Inc. idea in the works, and I have an Incredibles in the works, and I think that's it for the moment. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it for Pixar for now. There'll be more. But again, that's another thing on the list to finish. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's called Critters. It is awesome. It's a horror movie. It's from the 80s, so of course it's going to be even better. If you haven't seen it, so pretty much the premise is these aliens pretty much are on a spaceship, and somehow one of them like unleashes these critters off of the ship. Just shoots them out into space to escape for some reason. And so they escape and crash to Earth. And again, it's like the 80s, so there's like, it like crashes on some farmland and some podunk backwards country town. But they pretty much are these little balls of fur with teeth. And it's a really cheesy movie, but they just eat everything. Mainly flesh, obviously. I mean, it's not too gory. I mean, if you love Jason vs. Freddy, then this movie should be a cakewalk for you. But yeah, they're these weird little creatures. They made 4 movies, and pretty much the second movie is identical. Oh, I forgot. So when they find out that the creatures escaped, the aliens that have the ship, that they send out 2 aliens to go to Earth to almost like bounty hunt them. And they have like no faces, so they I forgot what they did. Somehow what they did was they morphed into like to look like humans. So they saw like a picture of some humans, and so they morph into them. Like, so one looks like this really attractive model from this like advertising ad that they looked at, and the other is like this hair metal rock star. It's supposed to be like this really popular rock star. So it's like this dude in this weird alien gear with these giant weird like Gatling guns. He's like running around with this model, and who's got the weird gear on and a Gatling gun, and they're just trying to kill all these critters before they eat the whole planet. But yeah, as the series goes on, it just gets cheesier and cheesier. I mean, it's already cheesy to begin with. But they made 4, and I think it's the 4th one, has Leonardo DiCaprio. He was in Critters 4, I believe. It's back when he was on Growing Pains. Those growing pain days, so to speak. Which is pretty funny. Any weird commissions lately? That's a good question. Have I had any weird commissions? Honestly, I can't think of any. Give me a second, let me think. I did just do, like, some birthday commissions where I could, you know, I do one every year where for my birthday, you pay for whatever my birthday is. I don't know if I even said that right. Anyway, so like this year, I got this guy who loves my Ninja Turtle stuff, but wanted like Doctor Who. Hence the reason why there's a David Tennant piece I gotta do. I've never seen Doctor Who. I'm not a Doctor Who fan. I just thought it was kind of weird that you want me to draw. But I get it because apparently his wife's a huge fan. I was just hoping, I was like, oh, cool. I get to draw Ninja Turtles again. And no, it's Doctor Who. God, have I had any weird commissions? I know, like, well, I know that what's going to happen is I'll sit here and think about it, and then later it'll pop in my head after you've left. I've got a guy that wants me to draw Punisher fighting Batman, and I don't know why. I can't do it. Like I'm gonna do it obviously, but it's just annoying me to have to do it. I did have a guy recently ask for Donatello from Ninja Turtles in a boxing ring, like he was triumphant, and his brothers are all like knocked out. I was like, okay, I can do that. Nothing weird, thankfully. Yeah, like these, like I said, this Critters one's one of my the birthday commissions. Baxter Stockman, the David Tennant. I did this Donatello working on Metalhead piece a while back, and so I got a commission to do. This guy wants a similar piece like that, but he wants it to be Boba Fett, like almost like a metal robot version of Boba Fett being worked on. It's different, but still kind of cool. I haven't gotten anything too crazy. I think the craziest I've ever gotten, or the ones that I remember the most that were the craziest, were I once got asked to draw like down the barrel scope of a rifle, like you're looking through the scope, so it'd be like a, you know, the scope, and then you see the crosshairs, and the guy wanted me to draw prairie dog getting shot in the forehead. And I was like, okay. I drew it. This was, God, man, probably like 16 years ago, 15, 16 years ago. It was the weirdest thing. And then I had one where the same guy asked me to do a seal being eaten by a shark. Like the shark's jumping out of the water and engulfs the seal. I was like, what the hell? That one was actually kind of fun. But yeah, I would say the weirdest ones are those two that I've ever gotten. Oh, no. Nah, now it's coming back. Again, none of these are recent. This was like, I'd say, probably when I was 22, so like, yeah, 14, 15 years ago. So for a while, I would do commissions off eBay. And I had done this like really cool short story, like short 6-page comic where I had this character and she was like kind of like this badass and she's chasing this guy and she beats him up and then she gets blindsided by another guy who hits her and knocks her out. So when she wakes up, she's like tied to this chair and she's gagged. All right, nothing weird, you know, she's just beaten up and, you know. So pretty much the idea is like hold on. I think I have it right here. Yeah, all right. Okay. See if you see this. So pretty much, I did this in 05. So what is that? What year is this? I don't know. 13 years ago. So this dude's running. He's being chased. She grabs him behind him, throws him against the wall. She's going to handcuff him. All right. So then he starts laughing. She turns around, sees these three dudes, pulls out this giant taser, tases one of the guys, and then she gets knocked out. I don't really convey it very well, but, you know, this is 15 years ago. So what happens is she wakes up, tied to a chair, bleeding, and she's gagged, right? So pretty much what happens is I didn't ever put any dialogue into it. And I had it where, like, the guy starts talking to her, and he pulls the gag off of her, and she spits blood in his face, and so he puts the gag back on her. And he's wiping it off, and he's like, oh, well, you know, this guy's coming in here, and he's gonna, like, pretty much kill you. So he tries swinging at her. She moves out of the way, snaps the cord off. The guy's surprised, punches her in the face. She punches him in the face, picks up the cord, and she's, like, pretty much stating that she's gonna strangle the guy. So that was it. That was the story. What was that? 2, 4, yeah, 6 pages. And so I would go on eBay and I would post these pages. And I'm like, hey, I'm taking comic work. You know, if anyone's interested in getting some sort of like comic idea you have, you know, you could bid on it and then I'll do it, yada, yada, yada. I started getting like really weird sexual requests from this. I think some of them I just kind of brushed off. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that. But some of them were like, okay, that's weird. You have a kinky desire for this, but I'll draw it. Like one was, this guy he paid me pretty good for it, which is crazy. It's like, it's always the creepos who have all the money, who are willing to like pay for the weirdest things. But so pretty much what had happened was he paid me to draw a 6-page story where it was a bar scene And he had to be him. He wanted himself drawn into the comic, where he's sitting at a bar and Tinkerbell comes up. Tinkerbell. I said Tinkerbell. Yes. Tinkerbell comes up and starts flirting with him. I'm like, okay. But then Jessica Rabbit comes up and starts flirting with him. And Tinkerbell gets mad. And they have a fight over this dude. So it would be like, the first page, him and Tinkerbell, and then, page 2 is Jessica Rabbit, and then Tinkerbell getting mad, and she slugs Jessica Rabbit, and then it was like page 3, 4, and 5 were like this brawl fight. And I told him, I was like, I'm not gonna draw anything like too nudie. So, there's a nip slip from Miss Jessica Rabbit. And then the last page, he wanted it where, what was it? They stop fighting and they realize that they can just share this guy. And they can both have him. So that's what happens. It was the weirdest commission. I had another one. So like after that one, I had to like start writing when I did the eBays that like I don't draw anything sexual, because it was just getting weird. The requests. I can't really remember what else was making it weird, but yeah, it was starting to get a little too weird for me. I did have this one guy pay me pretty well, and it was just like this weird story of like some Dance Dance Revolution character that was really popular, that was like dancing to this music and had this cute babysitter. Nothing weird happened between them. It's just like the music would come on and the baby would want to dance. So he would dance to the music, and then so like the babysitter put him to bed. I still have copies of it somewhere. So the babysitter put him to bed, and then something happened where the music, some kind of music, like she put on music, and it woke the baby up. So when she saw the baby awake and dancing, she didn't get mad at him. They danced together. So they just had like this weird little dance off, and then baby gets tired and she puts him to bed. That was the story. It was pretty good money. It was weird, but I got paid. When I meet Tinkerbell at the parks from now on, I'll never think of her the same. Just remember, she kicked Jessica Rabbit's ass, alright? And then realized that, hey, they could share Paul. I don't know if his name was Paul, but we're just gonna call him Paul. But thankfully I haven't had anything too crazy like those in a long time. Long time. And if I have, I don't remember. Usually now I'm not afraid to say no. Like it'll suck to miss the money, but I really don't want to draw weird, creepy stuff for weird, creepy people. Yeah, if you get a chance, just YouTube. If you don't want to watch these movies, because they're a little bit too cheesy to watch. The first one's really good, but like I said, they get a little cheesier as they go. But if you don't want to watch them, at least YouTube a trailer of them. It's pretty funny. Pretty much the second one's like almost like a regurgitation of the first one. I think they were just like, oh my god, we could capitalize on this. It's cool though, because in the second one, the one different thing that they do is the creatures manage to somehow like form together into this giant ball. So then they like roll down these hills like eating cows. Like it's so weird. I don't know how to explain it. Whoops. Sorry, didn't mean to hit. Okay. These puffer balls are done. Now go in. Again, the art lesson for tonight is I go in, do my framework, and I go in with my brush pen, I set in all my blacks, all my shadows. We still haven't hung the Ziki drawing you did. Need to get a frame for it. No problem. When you do though, please tag me as always. It's always cool to see the art. So again, they're like these just black, hairy, gray balls of teeth. All right. You know, from time to time, I still think about how that lady screamed at me when all of us were at Disney World. I know that's kind of random to talk about or mention, but yeah, from time to time, I don't know what the situation is when I think about it, but when I do think about it, I'm just like, man, I really kept it together pretty good. Because that lady, whew, I don't know. don't know. I don't know. I'm just, I'm glad I kept it together, at least. For you guys, and, you know, for Nikki, and especially the kid. That poor kid had to, like, witness her mom go crazy like that. That's all I could think about was like, dude, look at the way you're acting in front of your kid. At Disney World. It's not like we were, like, down on the strip or something, chilling. No, we're in Disney World. And you're acting crazy. It's one of my fondest moments at Disney World. Well, I'm glad it's one of your fondest moments. It was horrific for me. She was not a happy camper. I just think she just was having a bad day. Something happened. And then that was like, she just took it out on me, you know? It's fine, you know? Shit like that happens. I don't want it to happen to me. But I hope she... I often wonder, mainly, if she ever thinks about how she, like, acted a fool. Probably never thought twice about it. I was just like, oh my god, is this lady really doing this? In front of all these people? Yes, it was. It was the Animal Kingdom bus stops when we were going to the Hollywood part. Isn't he so cute? They always reminded me of, I don't know if you've ever seen the Masters of the Universe movie, which, as horrible as it is, I love that movie. I don't care. It's so bad, but it's so good. It's a good bad. But there's like this one of the bounty hunters going after He-Man. He kind of looks like one of the critters. No, I'm gonna let them throw sand on others. That's gonna totally be a thing. I want to pass it along, where like my kid throws sand on someone disrespectfully. I mean, the kid didn't know. All I said was, "Hey, kid, am I not throwing sand on him?" And he's like, "What? Don't you yell at my kid." Like, what are you talking about? I didn't yell. But, that way, my kid can throw sand, and then I will have the right to yell at whoever says something to my kid. That's the plan. And then they can pass it on. It'd be like a tradition. It'll have to be at Disney World, though. Only at Disney World. I always forget how much faster I can go when I already have the drawing pre-laid out. It's always just easier on me because it's just, I think a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold up, so to speak, is sometimes drawing, just penciling out the characters. I guess because I'm thinking of the composition and how I want the character to look, and then if it's something like this where I'm having to sit there and like look at the character and figure out the design. What'd you send me? That's awesome. Wes sent me a picture that Robert Englund, when he signed his Freddy vs. Jason poster, drew Freddy on it. That's really cool, man. Yeah, that looks great. See, to me, that's like more, I guess, bang for your buck. Getting, because that's so unique. Like, he probably like writes "Welcome to My Nightmare" like on a billion different posters, but how many posters does he actually draw Freddy Krueger on? Since San Diego Comic-Con's going on, it's reminding me, and this is reminding me of when me and my buddy went to San Diego and we waited in line to meet Jason Lee. I don't know if you're familiar with him. My Name is Earl. He was Mallrats. A lot of Kevin Smith movies. He was promoting Dreamcatcher when me and my buddy went. And so we waited in line. Long story short, waited way longer than we should have because he was just about to start My Name is Earl. So he was promoting that, and then he showed up late. So we waited there like, I think 3 hours almost. And then they're like, "Oh yes, you can't shake his hand. He'll only sign one thing, no pictures." So we were like, "Oh, okay." So, like, they didn't have anything for him to sign. It's not like he had like photos available or anything. So, like, we had to find something to sign. So I was like, shit. All I had was like a can of Pringles. It was like this tiny can about this big. It was like a mini can, and I think it cost me like $4 at the concession stand. Because that's what they do, is pretty much rape you on price. A can of Pringles that big, $4. Anyway, so I got him to sign it, and he wrote something like, "I like the sour cream kind," which I thought that was pretty cool. It wasn't just his signature, it was, something unique. And then my buddy that went with me all he had was a sketchbook. So he did kind of like that, where he told him, he's like, can you just draw something? So I think it caught him off guard, like, okay, this is kind of cool. Because it wasn't something, you know, I mean, it's not like Jason Lee knows how to draw or anything. It's just something different. And I think he drew, if memory serves me correct, I think it was he drew like a goldfish bowl and a fish in the bowl. Yeah, it was very strange. But that was our Jason Lee. But like I said, it just reminded me because something different, something unique. Alright. These guys are crazy. Blah, 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 blah. They don't talk or anything. Well, it is cool because they've got their own little language and they kind of mutter something to each other. And it has like subtitles so you can read what they're saying. But that's pretty funny. That is awesome. I got Greg Nicotero to do some zombie doodles. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, most of them will probably be like, "Oh, I don't draw," but you know, they'll still do it. And then even if it's not like amazing, it's still cool looking, and it's something that you have where you can go, like you said, I got Greg Nicotero to draw a zombie on my poster, or I got Robert Englund to draw Freddy freaking Krueger. I got Freddy Krueger to draw Freddy Krueger. My friend's got this poster that she used to set up at shows. She's gotten out of it and she's like gone back to college. But whenever I'd see her at a show, sometimes she'd have this giant poster from Tales from the Crypt with her. And it's like her goal kind of thing, to where it's pretty cool. She's trying to get anyone and everyone that had an episode from Tales from the Crypt, like as a guest appearance, you know. So she's trying to get them to sign her poster, and she's got quite a few. She said that what she's been doing is like she's been trying to put stars next to the person's name. Hi, Vertical. How you doing? We're here for the critters. Yeah, man. Welcome. Love the critters. But as I was saying, she's got this Tales from the Crypt poster, and what she does is she highlights their name on like a sheet of paper to the side. So if they're mean, or like, she'll tell me how, like, she'll go to them, and then I'm like, oh, how cool was it to meet the, you know, such and such, and she's like, I don't know, later they act like half of them don't even remember their episodes. Alright, so again, welcome to all those that have joined. Vortical is saying, very cool drawing. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. If you missed it earlier, I just did this one too. Creature from Black Lagoon. This was my warm-up drawing. And then we're doing this Critters tonight. I'm going to try to do this Baxter Stockman. And then if I get around to it, I've got a David Tennant from Doctor Who. But yeah, I guess because like she would meet the celebrities, and like most of them aren't known for their episodes of being in Tales from the Crypt. So like she met like Leah Thompson from Back to the Future, and she said that she was really nice, that she actually remembered her episode and was kind of like thought it was pretty cool that she brought the poster to get signed. But you know, sometimes she said that I forget which one, who it was specifically, but she'd be like, yeah, they I asked them how they liked their episode, or do they remember this part, and they're like, no, I was in that, like I forgot, kind of shit. And it just kind of, so she puts these like stars next to the ones that are nice people, and then that way she knows like who was an asshole and who wasn't. Critters. I didn't know Mark Hamill was on the regular show. I loved that show. What? So sometimes I like to, a good thing to do is like, I do a little bit of ink, and I take just a paper towel, and I kind of dab it, and give it that little cool effect. Again, I'm just placing shadows where I'm thinking visually in my head where the light source is. So a lot of the time, again, I do a lot of light source coming in from overhead. So I try to present it that way. Sometimes little creases, like the tops of their teeth here, because you know their mouths are so big and so weird that it casts like a slight shadow over their teeth. I don't know if you can really see that like that. See? And I want hints, just slight hints of light to appear on the fur, because they're kind of like these weird weird creatures. He's going to be hidden in the back a little bit more, so he's going to be a little more shadowed. Just kind of mysterious. Teeth. Just a ball of teeth, that's all you see. Boom. Gritty critters piece. Are you still doing anything for tops? No. Absolutely not. That is a hard no. For those of you that don't know, I've done stuff for tops, for Mars Attacks, Star Wars. I've done Upper Deck cards for Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, Ant-Man. I did, the last set I did was 20th Century Fox Alien. So I got to actually do some Alien cards, which was really cool. I've done Clerks. They did a Clerks card set. I did about 10 cards for that. Mainly, I have stopped. I've stopped doing sketch cards. It's one of those things where it was really fun for a long time, and it's cool to like get to say I've worked on this property, and like I've worked on Star Wars cards and getting to work on like Mars Attacks, but they don't pay jack, and I mainly stopped working for Tops because Tops owed me like over $1,000 in back invoices. Like, I don't know who was in their invoice department, but they weren't doing their job. And I didn't realize I had done like 3 or 4 sets before I wasn't even being paid. And it was one of those things where, like, when I finally asked, like, hey, you know, what's going on? I kept getting the runaround. So I was like, oh, yeah. We'll pay. Did you, like, I'll get that to you. And then when I message him again, it'd be like, oh, yeah, you know, busy week, just been a busy week, you know. I'll send it over to payroll. And then another week would go by, and then I'm like, you know, what's going on? You told me this, and the guy was like, oh, well, yeah, did you send in your invoices? And I'm like, no, you guys should have already invoiced this for me. Like, you have no problem keeping up with what we owe you, but not what you owe us. And so what had happened was I was doing a Star Wars set for them, and they're like, "Hey, do you have your cards done?" Like the deadline was coming up, and because sometimes they check in, especially if a lot of people haven't finished their cards. And I was like, "Well, where are those checks at?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, they're coming, they're coming." So then finally, like they actually sent me the checks, and I sent them back the cards, totally blank. I didn't work on them at all. So that was kind of like my fuck you to them. And I mean, I finally got paid, but it took them 3 months longer than it should have. Like, our contracts were set up to where after 90 days we'd be paid. No, not 90 days. The cards were due in 90 days. We'd be paid within like 60 days. And it was like 3 months after the 3 month period, or 2 month period of waiting to actually be supposed to get paid. So it just became a frustration. And like I said, it was fun to work on them, but not. And it got to this point where I got asked all the time, "Hey man, how did you get into doing these cards for this company? How did you get in doing Marvel cards? How did you get in doing Star Wars cards?" And I had to be like, as much as I wanted to help everyone, these were people that didn't talk to me on a regular basis. These were people that maybe nonchalantly I saw and, would nonchalantly just ask me about how to do it. So I just was like, I can't give out that information. Sorry. So here's the finished critters piece. Critters. They usually have like red eyes too, but this commission's just ink wash. Anyway, so I stopped. I hated to stop, but like it sucked working for someone who wasn't gonna pay you, and they had a problem on if you didn't meet their expectations for the contracts, but yet they had no problem breaking their own contracts. So it just got to a point where I was done with it, and I sold off all my cards. I was like, I'm not doing this. And so I probably won't be working for any companies that are sketch card companies ever again, unless they came to me and were like really, really into something. Because like the people they get to do these cards now, like no offense to them, good for you, but a lot of them are hideous. They're just like hideous drawings. So it's like they don't give a shit anymore. Like it used to be like this kind of niche kind of thing where like only a certain amount of people were doing it too, and if you got the cards, and you were part of the deal, like it meant something. And now it's just kind of like I see people who, again, like it's no offense to them. I don't mean it to come off rude or arrogant or mean to them, but it's just the qualifications of the standards just kind of went downhill. But most people don't care because it's Star Wars, like that's how it was for me. It was like, what? I get to draw Star Wars? Are you freaking crazy right now? Like, that's awesome. And it was awesome. And it's on my list. Plus, the deadlines were just nightmares. I'd be working, like 3 shows, and then I have to still come up with doing 100 cards for a new set, which was fine, whatever, but when you had to, like, produce this within a certain amount of time, and then half the time they just sat on the shit. It'd be another like 3 months before the set would come out. And like I said, then it'd be another 3 months after that before I got paid. I really was getting tired of Upper Deck cards, because what had happened was I would do these sets, so they'd commission me to do 50 cards. So I would do 50 cards, and then they'd be like, okay, well, if Marvel approves them, then you get paid. Well, what they didn't tell you was you don't get paid for all 50 cards. You'd only get paid for the cards that Marvel approved. So I'd be busting my ass doing cards that wouldn't get approved. So, and most of the time, it'd always be like they would approve 35 of the cards. So it almost came off like every person automatically would not get approved of at least 15 cards. And again, it would be months sometimes where I wouldn't get paid until they were approved. So it just became this hassle. It's like they had all these rules, but yet, again, just never followed them. I will say, though, Upper Deck was always on the game. When it was time to pay, they paid. They had no problem. Like, when they were supposed to pay, they paid. But they paid after Marvel approved them. And, so a lot of that could be that it was Marvel who was the holdup. But still, I don't like having to do work that well, let's say this. I don't mind doing work and getting paid for it if the product doesn't come out for another 3 months. At least I'm being paid right then and there. My problem is I don't want to work and do something if it's going to be six months before I even see a shitty little paycheck. I think it did what I was hoping to do, like, which was like it opened doors, it got my name out there. People know my name, at least from it, and yeah, it was fun getting to work on certain things. But I didn't want, like, they came to me to do clerk cards, Upper Deck did, and I didn't want to do them at all, because it was right after the fiasco with Topps, and I was just like, man, I don't want to do this shit. But I had heard that they had gotten the rights. It was back when they had just gotten the rights to do, like, Predator and Alien vs. Predator and the Alien card sets. So I was like, oh my god, like, I want to try to do something with Alien. And when they had the first set, apparently, like, the first set came out and I wasn't on the list to work on it, so I told them, I was like, look, I want to work on it. And they came to me and was like, okay, well, that's like, we'll put you down whenever we have another set. But, you know, for now, we've got the Clerks movie, Kevin Smith's movie. Like, do you want to work on those? And I was like, ugh, why? That movie's like 30 years old. But I was like, okay. So I did those. I did like 10. Because I told them I didn't want to do 50. Because most of the standard times is like, they'll tell you to do like at least 50 to 100. And I just didn't want to do it. So I did, I think 12 total. No, I think it was 10. Might have been 10. But I was shocked because all 10 of those actually got approved. I was like, wow, that's the first time. I think it's because they probably just didn't have many people turn in their cards. So they were like, fuck, we have to have something. But I don't know, it would have been cool. Like, another thing with Topps was when the new Star Wars movie came out, when episode 7 came out, they kind of like really were sneaky about it, which made it uncool. Like, I worked on a journey. It was called A Journey to the Force Awakens. So it wasn't even like for the movie. It was like a set, like a preset coming out before the movie comes out. Just, you know, to capitalize off of it. And but before we could do that, they made everyone draw like 8 cards. So we had to do like 8 cards of scenes from the movie. And you had to like get those cards approved. So before you could even do your cards. And back then, when we did it, it was one of those things where, you know, the hype was huge for the new movie. But they were so hush with it, there was nothing out other than the trailer. So all anyone could draw was these scenes from the trailer. So everyone's drawings were all fucking the same because it's the same 10 scenes from the movie trailer. It was kind of irritating, but we found out later that what had happened was they secretly picked a handful of artists to work on. Oh, they told us that they destroyed them all. Like anyone who did those cards, all those cards were destroyed. And that they supposedly picked a handful of artists to do a different set than the Journey to the Force Awakens. That was going to be a set specifically for the new movie. So, yeah, and they were being very particular. Like, we couldn't draw scenes anymore from the films. Like, one of my favorite things to do was, like, I would draw little scenes from the movies. Like, I thought that was really cool. It was something different than getting, like, here's a profile shot of someone's face. Here's another profile shot of Luke's face and Leia. And Darth Vader's side view, you know? Like, that I can do that shit all day long. It's boring as hell. So I would always draw, like, those scenes where, you know, like, Luke's being trained by Yoda, or, you know, Darth is fighting Obi-Wan with the Millennium Falcon in the background, or the just different scenes. And so they got on to everyone and were like, no more of that. You can't do that anymore. Like, you have to draw these characters, and you're going to draw them pretty much as profiles. We always look for your sketch cards at card shows. Oh, thanks, man. It's been 20 years since I've been to an actual card show. Back then, what I loved about them was growing up, they'd always have them, and my uncle and his kids would go with me and my dad, and we'd go look for baseball cards and stuff. And I'd always buy baseball cards. I know nothing about baseball. I'm not much of a baseball fan, unfortunately. Very sports illiterate. But they would always look for that stuff. But back then, comics were coordinated into the baseball card shows. So a lot of comic dealers set up at the baseball card shows. And I always thought it was really cool because they got to look at the baseball cards, which was great for them, and then I got to look at the comics, so it was like we both won. And so I always thought that was neat. Always made it fun to want to go. Alright, so been talking. Now we're on to Mr. Baxter Stockman from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Huge card and comic show up here once a month or two. Yeah, there's every once in a while when I'm looking up shows, I'll find something and it'd be like Raleigh Comic and Card Show. And I've always thought about trying to do it, but there's always like little information about it at all. Just like very, very little information. And half the time it's, they're like one-day shows, and Raleigh's kind of far for just one day. If it was 2 day, it's another thing, but. And I'm not doing cards anymore, so it's a little harder. But yeah, I've seen a couple time to time still. Boop, 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 boop. I wonder, since I need you to do a Cantina band for me soon. That would be cool. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I used to like draw scenes like that where like the band's playing and just different unique scenes. Like I remember I did one of my favorite ones was I drew that weird, I forgot what his name is, but the one that like gets mad at Luke and then Obi-Wan like slices his hand off or his arm off in the Cantina bar. And it shows that scene where his arm's just like laying there and it's bloody. I drew that scene, and that's like one of my favorite cards. His name is Panda Boba. What an interesting name. Yeah, the one that looked like a weird tarantula. Yeah, man. Panda. Ponda Boba. It's normally 2 days, but sometimes they have 3-day shows. Only 1 day holiday or weekend. Are they very big? I mean, do you see a lot of people come out to them, or is it very like fixated on like collectors and for the card shows? Yeah, the one with the bud on the chin. He always freaked me out because he looked like a giant like tarantula. I have a fear of spiders. Mr. Stockman. I was really hoping to see him in the movies. Maybe he will. Maybe he will. I don't know how well you would do, honestly, but they did have a guy who did some work on the Star Wars cards one time. No idea of his name. Yeah, it's like anything though. It's like it's hard to gauge a lot of these shows because again, it's a lot of them are oversaturated now. You know, um, that's another reason why I've gone back to making comics. I've been trying to real hard, like, and doing like stuff like this, where I'm doing a lot of like Twitch feeds, obviously, so that way I'm home more, and then I can be at home instead of traveling so much because I've been doing this full time for a little almost 7 years, which is fantastic, and I'm very appreciative of it and thankful, but you know, it gets a little tiring traveling so much, especially when you know you got your kids and you want to see them. And if I didn't have kids, it wouldn't be a big deal. I'd probably still travel all the time, but the shows aren't what they used to be. There's so many shows. It's just like every Joe Schmo's kind of coming out of the woodworks going, I could do this. And sometimes they're really good. Don't get me wrong. They have like really good shows, but you know, you see those catastrophe shows. I'm like, what are you thinking? Yeah, man, it's getting, and that's another thing is like it gets too expensive. You know, it's expensive enough as a vendor, but you know, when you think about like, I honestly have to think a lot now where I'm thinking about, like you said, like it gets too expensive for the customers, and I'm having to think for like, is this show gonna bring enough people where it's gonna these people can shop, because some of these shows might get these huge names and you're like, that's awesome, that's gonna draw a lot of people, but A, they might just come for that person and leave, which is fine, it happens, or B, it's like by the time they pay for the $50-$60 pass to get in on just one day, and then they pay for parking, which can be anywhere between $10 to $20, and then they pay to get their autograph, and then they pay to get this, that, and the other. Like, do they have money? Are they going to have money to want to buy anything else? I mean, there's still plenty of shows where it's like, yeah, no problem. But there's becoming way too many where it is that problem. Yeah, yeah. Well, and yeah, when you do that, like when you nickel and dime people and just pinch as much as you can out of them, it's, like, I think a lot of the shows are having to think in that way too. They're thinking, okay, well, if we're doing this, more than likely they're not going to want to come out for the whole weekend. Like, are we going to make enough money? I mean, look at Wizard. Like, there's so many, like, things talking about how they've kind of screwed themselves with, like, pretty much becoming like the Walmart of shows. And then they got on these high horses of, like, trying to push smaller shows away to, like, overtake them. And now they're just drowning. They won't say that, but they are. They're drowning. And for years I was telling people, I'm like, man, I don't do Wizard shows anymore because their tables are so expensive. It's funny you mentioned that there's that show in Winston-Salem. I almost did it. Like, I was looking into it. I'm still kind of looking into it, unfortunately, because what I was going to say too is I'll only do a Wizard show if I've got nothing else, and, like, I have to do some show to kind of bring in something. And so, like, Wizard's that, like, last resort kind of thing. But the problem is yeah, even for a vendor, the gamble is so high because your table cost is, like, ridiculous. I think for that one, since it's their first year, like, their tables are only $250, which is insane. It's still really high for a table, especially for a first year show. Like, if anything, it should be like maybe $200, maybe. But they're treating it like it's like, oh, like, look what we got. So yeah, it's real irritating. But yeah, I looked at that one because it's like sometimes if I don't have much going on for the month, because there might not be a decent show, I have to, like, look at their shitty shows. I was like, well, it's brand new, but the problem, and the interesting thing is it is far away from any of the other shows going on, like, because most of the shows that are in North Carolina right now that are at least popular, are like in either Raleigh or Durham. And this one seems to be a little, like, pretty far away from it, at least, which is good. But it's still, I don't know. Like, I don't even do their Chicago show anymore. It's just horrible. Chicago Wizard World used to be one of the top shows to go to and do. Years and years ago. At least 10 years ago. Like, the big two were always Wizard World Chicago and San Diego Comic-Con. And now it's just, when they started doing a show every weekend somewhere, it turned to shit. It just got greedy. And then the shows weren't making much money. You're pulling in these, you're having the shows one weekend on one coast, another weekend on the other, but I get how, like, that would work, but when you would have 2 weekends later a show that was only 2 hours away from the previous show, why is anyone gonna come when they can go, oh, well, I missed this one, I can at least hit up this next one in 2 weeks, you know? It used to be like people saved for these shows, and like they saved to go to these shows, and then you're just overcapitalizing on it. But that's normal. I think it's just there's gonna be specific ones that are just gonna stay around, and then the rest will crumble. It's about to plateau. It really is. I have a feeling. And again, that's why I'm like, all right, well, I want to make comics again. I want to show where I'm going to be in 5 years, not where I'm going to be next year. I mean, and I'll still do this stuff because it's popular and it pays my bills, but until I can, financially support the comics and just flip-flop. But until then, how was Fanboy this year? I really wanted to go to that. Mad Monster was packed this year too. X-Con is gone last year. Went so bad. Well, first, Fanboy is one of those shows for me where, like, it's kind of reached this point where, since I do it every year, and I do see certain people that still come back to me each year, which is fantastic, and I appreciate it, but I know that I'm going to only make a certain amount of money. Like, the past 3 years have been very consistent with pretty much being what I make each time. And I'm fine with that. It's one of those shows where, like, I know the owner, and I've been doing Fanboy since the beginning, because, I believe that's where we met. Met you guys there, I think. Or was it a VentureCon? I can't remember. But, I just do that show because I know him, and he gives me a table, and he puts me as one of the comic guests. And he's a nice guy, and he gets good guests. Sometimes, though, it is one of those where, like, getting that many guests hurts. At least you know, as an artist, because, all these people, they come. I mean, the numbers have definitely improved. He gets tons and tons of people. The only problem is those people come for those autographs. They come to meet those people and they leave, like we talked about. The only difference between the smart thing with the way he does it is there's little penny pitching, like we were talking about. There's not really any of that going on. I mean, parking nowadays, they're so familiar with Fanboy that he has it where, like, it's free parking for most of the area, and then his weekend passes are very reasonably priced, and he he just makes it affordable, and I think that's another reason why it does so well. At least that one. I heard that I didn't do the one he had last year, because he usually does 2 shows. He does one in June, and which is his big one, and then he does one in like October, which is like a more of like a fan, like, throwback. I don't know exactly what he used to call it, but I missed last year's, and I heard last year's was like not very good for anyone. Though I really wanted to go because he had like an Aliens reunion. So he had like he had like Lance Hendrickson. He had the girl that played Newt. He had Alec, what's his name, who like did all who worked as one of the creature effect designers for a lot of the Alien movies. He was there, and one of the creature tech guys who like was in the alien suits. So that was really cool. I wanted to go to see that, but I had another show, I think, that weekend, so I couldn't make it. But I had heard that it did not go well, which I was shocked. I figured it'd go really well since I had such a huge alien draw, but no, it didn't do well. So he's not doing it this year. Again, I don't know if that's going to change for next year or what, but at least this year he's not doing it again. And then, but like I said, like I go into it knowing what I'm going to make, and since I do a show every year, and he reserves a spot for me, so I'm a guest, and I do like a special print like that. I don't know if you've seen the Boba Fett print I just did, but that was like the VIP print for the show. So I didn't make prints and sell it at the show at Fanboy, because that was like for specifically the VIP people, but I made prints afterwards, and I sell them now. But I didn't want to be disrespectful, and sell the print that he was giving away exclusively for the show. But I mean, I still like it. I like that show a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into Mad Monster, because like I said, I want to expand to doing some horror shows for next year. As for XCon, I actually looked them up this year because I was thinking of like trying to do that show again, and have like another mini vacation. Because when I did the show the first time, we made a mini vacation out of it, and again the second time. But when I looked into it, I saw too that it was gone. Just boop. No information on it. Nothing saying, hey, we had a good time. Thanks for the ride. Nothing. It was just gone. I think some of the posts I even saw on the page were like, is this still happening? Is this show still around? I think plus the guy that ran that show, his name was Robin. He was such a dick, such a dick. Like he did not care about anything. Like it was like, hey, I'm Mr. Cool Guy because I got a show, and so that was a turnoff. Plus, like the first year I did it, it was profitable, and then the second year we did it, we made enough to pay for the trip, which was fine. Which is, that's always good if you can at least do that. But when you do this for a living, the goal is to, obviously recoup what you made, what you put into it, but also make a profit. And for us not to make a profit, that kind of really made me go, I'm not going to do it again. And I had heard that it wasn't very good. I think I saw you at Fanboy and XCon back to back, basically. Yeah. Memory serves me correctly. I feel like that was true. But yeah, I mean, XCon's a good example. I mean, that show lasted, what, like 7, 8 years? But it didn't go anywhere. He wasn't doing anything. They weren't getting numbers like they should have been. I think those people were just like, look at us, we're putting on a convention. Plus the problem too is, oh man, Myrtle Beach is a beautiful town, but it just became like, sorry, I'm kind of giving it a weird effect. It was expensive town though. The hotels were expensive because they're right there on the beach, and like you never seemed to get like good deals, at least any that I saw. And plus, I always thought it was just kind of tacky how, like, he had maybe, like, 10 vendors, 15 vendors tops, and then there was suddenly, like, this giant wrestling stage in the middle of the show, and then the back half was all these giant air blow-ups for kids to play on. Like, that's fine, but there was no separation in it. It was just all merged into this, like, almost like not flea market, but I don't know how I'm trying to put it. Just very weird. Mad Monster was so disorganized, though. I heard I heard that there were some issues with it being kind of chaotically all over the place. They did not expect that many people, and the hotel they went back to was bad. Hopefully they changed locations. I heard the Days of the Dead was awesome. Kicking myself for not going. Yeah, I heard it was good. I just heard that, like, exactly that same information, that it was just not. Plus, my big thing is this. It's like, I don't know why it irritates me, but, like, as an artist, if it's one thing if you're, like, talking to another artist and they just nonchalantly are like, yeah, that was a good show. But when you hear that same artist suddenly tell like 10 other people that they should look into that show too because they had a really good show, it makes me go, dude, do you not like realize, like, I can't tell if it's just you're trying to be nice about it and be like you want to share the wealth, but it's like, you don't tell people you found a fucking diamond mine and go, yeah, you should come pick at this diamond mine with me, because there's all these diamonds and we should all get it. And then everyone comes to the diamond mine and mine all your diamonds, and then you've got nothing, and you go, what the fuck? I don't know what happened. What happened to all my diamonds? It's because you fucking told everyone about it. I had this one guy, I remember years ago, before, like, this whole, like, oversaturation with art prints, which is another reason why, I'm trying to get out of this shit, is because everyone's doing it. I don't want to do everything everyone's doing. But, especially when you get, like, Joe Schmo, who's like, I'm just gonna make some art prints and sell them. And, I remember I was at the show and I was talking to him, and he was one of the few guys that was doing art prints too, and he's like, yeah, like, it's like, I'm making good money, and, I'm thinking of, starting a workshop where I teach people how to set up at shows and do this. And I'm like, why? Like, no offense, but that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. Like, why are you wanting to give this to everybody? Like, I don't know. I know that might sound selfish, but when I told him, I'm like, why would you do that? And then you're gonna have 10 people show up at the same show that you're set up at, and that's 10 more people taking away money from you that they could have been spending with you. And he's like, oh yeah, I never thought of that. I'm like, yeah, dude, what the fuck? I don't know. That's just how my mind works. I don't understand. Are you going to Oak City and Durham later this year? You mean the, in Durham? Oh, yeah, NC Comic Con. Well, yes and no. Well, actually, I don't know. Because what had happened was, last year was horrible. Their show last November, like, and they know it. I'm not saying anything disrespectful or trying to talk bad about their show. I love NC Comic Con. I think it's a great comic show, but that show last year sucked. Like, they just didn't have good guests. The guests they ended up getting were had already been there. Like, so people didn't care. And so, like, sales hurt a lot by that. And that was my worst show from them in, I think, the 4 or 5 year period that I've been doing their show. So I told myself this year I wasn't going to do it, to kind of, like, rest it. So that way, when I came back the following year, people would be like, oh, what's new? And you got all this new stuff. Instead of being like, oh, I saw you last year and I bought something, I'm not going to worry about it. So they had their one in Oak City earlier this year, and I wasn't going to do that one because I did it the year before, and I made nothing. Like, I made enough to cover my costs, which to me means I made nothing, profiting wise. So I was like, I'm not going to do their show. But since I'm doing, since Caliber's putting out my AAI Wars graphic novel, they got a table. Like, they got they got 2 giant booths, and so the editor from Caliber invited me to come, and I was like, hell yeah. So they had Kevin Eastman this year, and I'm a huge, obviously, Turtle fan, and so it just made sense to go. Like, my only costs were my hotel and gas. So I went and I killed it this year. Like, I killed it because all these turtle fans came out and bought turtle shit, and I did like, God, I think I did 6 or 7 commissions because the turtle fans wanted some turtle covers, so it worked out. But they do it where the past couple of years, the NC Comic Con people have done it where if you do their Oak City show, then they'll tell you in advance about the Durham show. So that way you have like first dibs to like buy a table. And then if you do their Durham show, then you have first dibs to buy the Oak City table. Well, since I was with Caliber, they didn't have any knowledge of that other than the Caliber guy telling them. So they didn't have my email. And long story short, I messaged them recently and I was like, hey, I never got an email from you guys about your Durham show. Is it sold out? Like, I want to go, but I don't see anything about it. And I got an email back saying, like, they're slowly it was some bullshit, weird thing where he's like, yeah, we're slowly sending out, table requests for that in small groups of emails. So he's like, we're about to send out another bunch next week, so keep an eye out. Well, that was last week, and I still haven't seen anything since, so it's kind of up in the air. I might do it again since they're supposed to be having some turtle guests, but I don't know. If Caliber gets a table, I'd do it in a heartbeat because it's not gonna cost me anything. But I don't know. And again, since their show got popular too, they've kind of gone up on the prices. But they also have Gerard Way this year again, and so I think that's going to be another big draw back to their show. So that's what's going on. I know that's a long explanation. As my wife likes to say, I like to give the scenic route of an explanation. Take 20 minutes to explain. I guess this looks like David Tennant. I don't know. I tried really hard. Right? One of these days I'll see you guys at a show. I didn't do Heroes this year in Charlotte, and I'm glad I didn't. Last year was horrible. They put me way in the back, off to the side, and it was bad. Like, it was the worst I had ever done at a hero show. And I was like, I'm not coming back. The tables are like 300, and I was like, I'm not coming back next year. And I heard like a lot of people were pissed last year, a lot of people, and it made me go, wow. A lot of people didn't come back this year, and I heard the people that did go said it sucked. So they talked about how bad it was. And I'm like, well, I could have told you that. Like I like that show, but it's one of those shows where like unless you have like 10 or a few solid, really well priced pre-show commissions to do, you'll be lucky if you make your table back. Now, if I had gotten, like, I was planning to go on Friday, just to like buy, like get a pass from a friend who was set up and go look around. But I was trying to get a couple commissions to kind of help offset the pricing, pay for the gas and the trip up there. But I think Nikki ended up getting sick, and then I did get a couple commissions, but it wasn't enough to like offset making it worth going. And so I was like on the fence, and then like I said, Nikki got sick, so I think that was the final cap that made me go, okay, well we're not gonna go, because I can't leave her alone, and she's sick like that. I meant to ask you, whatever happened to that guy who was stealing yours and others' art? Which one? Well, first of all, I had a tattoo friend message me a couple weeks ago and sent me a link to my Beetlejuice drawing that I have, the carousel Beetlejuice. There's like some website on eBay selling that for in Hong Kong. So I was like, oh great. So I tried, the only thing I could do was to like message and say this was a fraudulent item, and that was it. But there was one guy who I caught at a show stealing my Killer Clowns drawing, which I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. Beautiful. You should check it out if you haven't. It's one of my favorite cheesy horror movies of all time. And I think that's on Netflix even. But, yeah, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is one of my all-time favorites. But I caught at a show, a friend who's not a friend anymore, because he's a piece of shit. He happened to be set up across from him, and of course it was a wizard show up in like Cleveland. I think it was in Cleveland. And he told me about the guy, but I don't think that guy's making art anymore. And then there was this guy, the other guy, who was stealing the Killer Clowns drawing. I don't know what it was about that Killer Clowns drawing that I did, but it was pretty popular to steal. He was, he had this thing called a horror box, and it was kind of like those boxes you can buy on a monthly basis, where like, and what he would do is he'd send you some like shitty like pillow his wife, sewed with like a horror movie thing on it, and then like a custom, not custom, but like a print, and like something else, just some crap, for $10 a month. And for some reason he saw my drawing online, he said, and he saw the line work, and it's not like he stole it, but, you know, he just used it. So I tried just telling him, hey, just give me credit. That's all I cared. I mean, I didn't care that he was using it, because I wasn't really selling that print anymore. I didn't care that what he had done was he printed out the line work, which was just the black and white version of it, and he penciled it. And my problem was, my friend sent me a post of it, because what he was saying was he was telling people that he drew it. And my buddy's like, no, you didn't draw that. My buddy Jason Flowers drew that. And I got on his Instagram and I was like, yeah, you know, like, that's mine. I drew that. So I private messaged him. And I was just like, hey, man, if you don't mind, just, you can use it. I don't care. Just give me credit. Like, you know, line work by Jason Flowers, and, you know, color pencils by whatever this guy's name was. So what he did was he just blocked me completely. And so I took it to the web, and everyone just started giving him really bad negative reviews. And then he got on his page and was like boo-hooing that all these people started giving him bad reviews, saying that he stole the artwork, and he claimed he didn't steal the artwork, that, you know, it's his interpretation of the art. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's my line work. Like, you colored it. Good job coloring it. So, needless to say, I don't think he's still doing it. I think it's one of those things where, like, even after everyone started giving him shit for it, it fizzled out in terms of, like, maybe no one gave a shit and even bought the box, or the reviews were just so bad that he couldn't do anything with it. So, yeah, I've just learned to, like, it is what it is. If I can report it, then I'll report it. But other than that, like, there's not much I can do, unfortunately. And I'm just, like, over giving so much energy into it that I've got so much other shit to do. I don't want to waste my energy with these people. Alright, there's Mr. Tennant. Whoops, I might want to draw the rest of his trench coat here. Then got the lovely TARDIS in the background here. Which is getting a silhouette. Damn. Made the windows too long. So now I have to expand the windows down here. No biggie. Are you guys Doctor Who fans? Do you guys watch Doctor Who? Like I said, I know jack crap about Doctor Who. It's just like one of those mini shows where, as much as I'm intrigued by it, I just don't have time to watch it. I mean, I get the premise. No. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't have like Doctor Who prints. I can't tell you how much money I've missed out on Doctor Who prints. But you know why? Like, I don't care. I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to be that guy that draws this random art print. To, you know, just make a quick buck. It's different when it's a commission. Like, I don't mind drawing a commission of it. Because, you know, for instance, like I said, this is a commission for a guy's wife. He was like a big fan. I know nothing about this shit. So what I'm going to do is I'm doing a silhouette of the TARDIS, which I'm shocked I know the name of. But, you know, you're around enough people who are fans, you pick up on some of the lingo. So I'm doing a silhouette of the box, of the police box, and then I'll ink wash it so it looks cool and has like this cool effect to it. All right. It's kind of sad because like I feel like I've getting more work done tonight than I would have gotten done if I had tried working all week. It's kind of how it works sometimes with me. Just go on these binges. Well, that's good, I guess, you know. I don't know. Did I ask you? Have you seen Killer Clowns? I think they just had like a 25th anniversary release of it. They keep talking about it. You got 3 commissions done, and then your warm up tonight. Yeah, I know, man. Like, who the fuck am I? This is not normal Jason Flowers. It at least looks good with my wife, because when I tell her I have work down here and she asks what I did,